Hello, Namaste, Namaskaram. The last time I was with you, I shared with you a few incidents from Sharada Devi's life, and I also shared what I could learn from those incidents. Let me remind you all, when we imitate the divine behavior of people who are great and divine, we also become divine in the process. As children, we all learn by imitation, and this method of learning stays with us throughout our lives. Therefore, if we imitate good behavior, we also become good. Our behavior becomes good. Let us see some more incidents from Sharada Devi's life and also see what is it that we can learn from those incidents. And like last time, I will again be referring to some notes that I've written from the book. This happened in 1885 when Sharadama and Sri Ramakrishna were living in Dakshineshwar. Every year, there is a Vaishnava festival that happens at a place called Panihati. Sri Ramakrishna and 25 of his devotees from Kolkata were planning to go for the festival. The devotees had arranged boats for them to go, and they had also arranged a special boat for Sri Ramakrishna to go. The boats were all moored at the ghats at Dakshineshwar. Sharadama prepared an early lunch for everybody, for Sri Ramakrishna and all those devotees who had come from Kolkata to take him. After they had all eaten their lunch, Sharadama asked one of the devotees to ask Sri Ramakrishna if she could also go with them. And when that lady asked him, he said, "Why? You're all going. If she wishes, she may also go." And when Sharadama heard this, she said, so many devotees are going. It is going to be very crowded. It will be very difficult for me to get off the boat and go to the festival. I will not go with you. You all carry on. And so the others left. Later, when the devotees came back from the festival, Sharadama was telling them, from the way he gave me permission this morning, I immediately realized that he was not giving me the permission wholeheartedly. If he was giving it wholeheartedly, he would have just said, "Of course, she may go." Instead, he left it to me to decide by saying, "She may go if she wishes." And that is when I decided that I better give up this idea of going. Later, Sri Ramakrishna moved to Shampukur house, and his devotees had called in Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar to treat him. Sri Ramakrishna was very ill at that time. The doctor recognized his patient and said, "Yes, I will treat him to the best of my ability and help him to recover. And to assist in your noble cause, I will not take any payment." The devotees were very relieved. Now the master's treatment was arranged. Next, they had to think about his food. But Sharadama was still living in Dakshineshwar. So between them, they all discussed that they needed to bring her here because it was only she who knew what food suited Sri Ramakrishna's body. So they went to Sri Ramakrishna to get his approval to bring her. Sri Ramakrishna said, "You all know how shy she is. Do you think she can live here? You better go and ask her. If she comes after knowing all the facts, let her come." Immediately, a messenger was sent to Dakshineshwar. And Sharadama came to Shyampukur immediately. It is interesting to look at both these incidents. For the festival at Panihati, Sri Ramakrishna left Sharadama to decide, and she decided not to go. This time also, he did not order her. Instead, he left it to her to decide. And this time, she decided to come. What did I learn from this? Sharada Devi had reposed complete faith in Sri Ramakrishna, and she knew that he took responsibility for her welfare. When he did not say a straight yes, she decided not to go. But when it came to the decision of coming to Shyampukur so that she could cook for him, she immediately decided that she would go. What did I learn from this? It is necessary for us to listen to our family members and elders who are only interested in our welfare. If they say no, or if they hesitate to say yes, there is probably a very strong reason, and sometimes the reason is not very clear. In the second incident, she decided to go because now it was a question of Sri Ramakrishna's welfare, and she knew she could look after him by making the right food. Decisions made for the greater good come easily from our hearts. When you feel like thinking, should I do this or should I not do this, that itself means it is probably not a good thing to do. When I was small, often my parents would say no to many things. I was not permitted to do a lot of things that my schoolmates would do. All that would make me cry. Later, there were many instances when they would tell me, "You can decide what you want to do, Varsha." Even now, when my father says no, or if he says don't do this, I listen. That is because, as my father, he has my best interests and would never do anything to harm me. It is very important to listen to elders and do as they ask us to do, simply because they have more life experience than us. Swami Sharadananda writes in his book that in Shyampukur, where Sri Ramakrishna stayed, Sharadamma used to cook in a covered terrace which was 6 feet by 6 feet. She would spend the day there. The whole building had only one bathroom, and so she would be up at 3 a.m., finish using the bathroom, and quietly go to the terrace, where she would spend the whole day cooking. At 11 p.m., after everybody had eaten, she would go into her room to sleep and again wake up at 3 a.m. the next morning. She lived so silently and was almost invisible. Many regular visitors did not even know she was living there and carrying out the most important responsibility of preparing food for Sri Ramakrishna. What did I learn from this? Sharadamma was probably doing the most important job in the whole world at that time. Her food was perfectly suited for Sri Ramakrishna, whose illness was by then terminal. He had terminal cancer. Sharadamma was doing the most important seva, and no one even knew of her existence in the same building. Her ability to lead an invisible life teaches us to be humble and quietly do our duties. There is no need to shout from the rooftops and say, "I did this" or "I did that." It is important to do our duty and do it with a smile and do it absolutely quietly. And that is what I learned from that incident. Later, at Kausipur Garden House, Sri Ramakrishna was bedridden and he distributed the ochre clothes, and Japamala to 12 of his disciples. That was the foundation for his monastic order. One of those days, the master Sri Ramakrishna asked his disciples to go and beg for food. It is an ancient custom in India for monks to go and beg for food and live on what people gave them. Begging helps one to eradicate the ego and teaches one to solely depend on God. Narendra, Niranjan, Kali, and Hatko Gopal first went to Sharadama and asked for alms. And they chanted the following hymn to her: Annapurne Sadapurne Shankara Pranavallabhe Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartam Bhikshandehi cha Parvati. The merciful Sharadama immediately gave them all a handful of cooked rice. Although she knew they were supposed to go out and beg, such was her compassion and love for her children. And that is a very important learning for us. We need to be loving and compassionate and share whatever we have with anyone who asks. During his last days, Sri Ramakrishna told Sharada Devi, "Do not stretch your hand to anyone for even a penny. You will not lack simple clothes and simple foods. If you hold out your hand to anyone, remember you will sell him your head also. If it is absolutely necessary, you may beg for food, but never live in anyone else's house. Devotees may welcome you into their homes with great respect and affection, but never allow your own hut in Kamarpukur to fall into disrepair. Stay there, grow some spinach, and eat that spinach with rice. Chant the name of God." And later, Sharadama did exactly that. She lived a very simple life and looked after the house very well indeed. The learning for me from this is, as human beings, we really don't need a lot to live a happy life. The past 3 months has been difficult times for everybody in this world. The corona problem has affected all of us. But in the middle of that problem, we have also realized that we don't need many clothes. It has also made us adapt ourselves to limited resources. Shops became empty and there was no supply of food materials. So what did we all do? We adapted. If there was no vegetable, we just ate rasam and rice. The shops did not have any special cream biscuits. In that case, we just ate simple biscuits. So what I'm trying to say here is, it is possible for us all to lead very simple lives. And Sharadama lived a life of simplicity, and that teaches us a lot about needs and wants. We need good food to stay healthy and strong. We don't really need rich food that is available in an expensive 5-star hotel. What we need to live a healthy life are simple things. Her actions and her behavior tell us that if we follow, our life also becomes very simple. During Sri Ramakrishna's last days, some of his disciples used to get very sad and depressed. Sharadama would silently notice it, and later she would send word through Jogin to that disciple. "Tell him not to be depressed. The master's health is better today. The wound also looks a little dry." This is how she inspired everyone. There is a lot to learn from this simple, small incident. We all face problems in our lives. And when we see our friends sad, we can certainly speak kind words of encouragement, and that would give our friends the much needed strength to fight. Very often, there is really nothing we can do to help someone, but we can certainly talk to them kindly. We can give them words of encouragement, and that would give them a lot of strength to manage the situation. Even in the worst of situations, kind words will always heal a person. A few days before Sri Ramakrishna passed away, he sent for Sharada Ma and taught her 8 mantras. These are Siddha mantras, he said. Please teach these mantras to all those who come to you for initiation. And yes, later on, many people will come to you. Initiate them with these mantras. Sri Ramakrishna was insistent that Sharada Ma should carry out her part in bringing light to people. He told her, "This is not my burden alone. You too shall have to share it." And later, Sri Ramakrishna attained Mahasamadhi in the early hours of 16th of August 1886. After the funeral, Sharadama began to discard her jewelry, following the customs of the Hindu widows of those times. As she was about to take off the bangles, Sri Ramakrishna appeared before her. He looked exactly like how he used to look before he got cancer. He took her hand and said to her, "Am I dead that you are acting like a widow and removing your bangles? I have just moved from one room to another." And Sharadama wore her bangles as long as she lived. She also wore a white sari with a small narrow red border, and that was her attire throughout her life. There are a few things one can learn from these incidents. When Sri Ramakrishna taught her the 8 mantras, Sharada Ma learnt them. She quietly accepted the fact that her role in the future will be very different. She was a divine person, and yet she followed the practices of those times. In those days, widows led a life with many restrictions, and she was quietly prepared to lead her life that way. She just did what was expected by society. We often find ourselves not accepting certain societal practices and conventions. In those moments, it helps us if we are quiet for a while and think, why did this practice come about? We may find answers which support the practice, or we may find it a useless practice. Whatever the final conclusion, it is important to stay quiet and find out for ourselves. Once we are sure of our conclusion, then it is time to slowly figure out how we are going to put it into practice. In this case, Sharada Ma immediately stopped removing her bangles. She was deeply aware, and she felt it firsthand and realized that Sri Ramakrishna was always with her and she was not a widow. After this realization, she never removed her bangles, and she always kept it on her hands. Of course, many people said a lot of things about her, but she answered them with her silence. The best response is often silence. After Sri Ramakrishna's passing, Ma Sharada could not stay for long at Kausipur house. She had to leave. She left in a carriage that Balram had brought, and while the carriage reached the gate, the gatekeeper stopped the driver and demanded the unpaid rent. It was a very embarrassing situation for her. And Narendra somehow had her released, and Sharadama left Kausipur Gardens house. This incident is again poignant for many reasons. Bad times befall anyone and everyone, and one needs to keep the faith and continue living. Sharada Ma later on described her mental condition and said, "Life became tasteless and meaningless for me, and I had no desire to talk to anyone. The master appeared to me and said, 'No, you should not leave the world. Please stay. You have many things to do.'" This incident is yet another moment of significant learning for all of us. At our darkest moments, we need to hang on to faith and the promise that life is worth living and there is always something useful that we could do. Sharadama listened to Sri Ramakrishna's words and she ended up doing so much more for the world after going through a very sad phase of her life. Sadness and sorrow will also not last long, and we need to find meaning in whatever we do. That is the learning from that incident. We will talk more about some more incidents from Sharadama's life. Every incident is a significant life changer if we start applying the learning from those incidents. Until next time, think about all these things. Think about all these incidents. Reflect upon Ma Sharada's responses to various situations and see how you can apply that behavior in your life too. Until next time, Namaskaram.